But watch out, He-Man, looks like Beast-Man is about to make you his bitch man. Jesse Shade here for Awfully Good Movies on behalf of the JoBlo YouTube network. And while a new live-action Masters of the Universe movie is in production for a 2026 release, I do not have a good feeling, judging from these early leaked on-set pictures. He-Man appears to have been transported back to our modern-day world, again, being accosted by two cops who look like Melissa McCarthy and Derek Zoolander. And his Prince Adam alter ego just appears to be He-Man, simply wearing a pink shirt. Oh my gosh, and we haven't even gotten to see how bad Jared Leto is going to look as Skeletor. But maybe we're going to be better off sticking with the original He-Man movie starring Dolph Lundgren from your friends at Canon Films in this sword-wielding episode of Awfully Good Movies. The summer of 2023 is proving to be the most turbulent to date for the land of Hollywood, with 2 strikes now shutting down most film and TV production, and big-budget blockbusters dropping like flies at the box office, unless they've got a Marvel logo in front of them. But things are looking far brighter and pinker for the long-gestating live-action film debut of Mattel's flagship fashion doll and her hunky male companion, with Greta Gerwig directing Ryan Gosling as Ken and Margot Robbie as the one and original Barbie. And with millions of dollars being made this weekend, as well as millions of memes about the film's release date battle with a certain Christopher Nolan atom bomb biopic, this should be a hopeful start for Mattel's plans to turn all of their iconic toy lines into major motion pictures. Although their planned live-action reboot for Masters of the Universe continues to roast in development hell. But back in 1987, the only real-life He-Man that children knew was Dolph Lundgren, who went from boxing shorts to battle armor in the far less quality film adaptation of a Mattel toy line known as
Masters of the Universe.
He-Man and his plastic army of Eternian rebels were played with frequently by children of the 80s, who also watched the equally beloved Filmation cartoon series and its female-oriented spin-off She-Ra. So though it made sense to license the franchise out for a live-action blockbuster starring then-recent Rocky villain Dolph Lundgren as He-Man, it made no sense to hand the task over to our old awfully good friends at Canon Films, with cheapskate producers Menachem Golan and Yoram Globus giving the film the studio's biggest budget to date, and releasing it the same summer as their other blockbusters Superman 4 and Over the Top, with all 3 films hopefully breaking big at the box office.
We're Canon Films, and we're taking your box office over the top.
And all 3 films instead flopping horribly, especially Masters of the Universe, after the movie suffered swift blows from young He-Man fans and film critics alike. This would not only contribute to the already declining sales of the Masters toy line, but soon lead Canon Films into a spiral towards bankruptcy in 1994 and hurt Dolph Lundgren's chances of Stallone-size action stardom. So now that both He-Man and She-Ra remain relevant with today's kids through their recent revivals on Netflix, let me use my casual knowledge of the He-Man franchise to discover how these Masters of the Universe instead became the Masters of None. And if any of you JoBlo subscribers out there are somehow unfamiliar with this franchise, let Professor Dolph Lundgren explain the story himself during this Masters of the Universe float at the 1986 Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Danger lurks at every turn as He-Man faces the evil horde. Never daunted, He-Man continues his quest for good.
God, how I do miss the 80s, and I wasn't even born during them. I'm not exaggerating when I say the effects on this parade float will only look slightly cheaper than the effects we're about to see in this movie.
He-Man and She-Ra will fight evil, and they will win.
By the power of Grey Goose, I have another royal round for you viewers to play in the awfully good drinking game. Take a shot or drink as we open in the land of Eternia at Castle Grayskull, where the power of the universe is being overseen by the disco ball-wearing sorceress of Eternia, played by Christina Pickles of St. Elsewhere and Friends fame, until the castle gets ambushed and she gets captured by our tyrannical villain Skeletor.
Grayskull is ours.
Played here by legendary screen and stage actor Frank Langella, while his skeleton-faced makeup will be replaced by some dried oatmeal that the filmmakers dumped onto Frank's face. Okay, the makeup's actually pretty impressive for this movie's low budget, but why don't you add some black contacts to simulate eye holes? Why have fake teeth on the side of his actual teeth? I can see the black felt over his nose holes. They look like the eyes on a ghost face mask.
Can you feel this?
Oh, you bet your ass I'm going to feel it. I took a molly right before you put me into this force field. I'm going to be tripping balls for hours. Skeletor broadcasts a hologram calling out for the hunky barbarian hero who's been preventing him from taking over Eternia. He-Man, played by Dolph Lundgren, who does at least look sufficiently swole in this role.
I'm gonna take off my bra, blast my nips.
Despite his stiffly choreographed fight scenes with Skeletor's army of robots, and no mention of He-Man's pink-shirted alter ego, Prince Adam. One of the many details ignored from the He-Man show, since the script was written by Supergirl and Dark Crystal writer David Odell before the cartoon became a hit.
He-Man, thank the sorceress you're alive.
I've been looking for you.
Yes, He-Man, we've been looking for you too. Let me hawk one up for you. As you folks can tell, Dolph's English on this movie was still a bit rusty, after his Rocky IV role of only 9 lines of dialogue, and the director's plans to dub over Dolph's heavy accent were contractually denied, thus forcing Dolph to dub the lines himself in dialogue that's as badly said as it is written.
Let her go.
Up and at 'em!
Up and at them!
It's especially awkward whenever he acts alongside the film's veteran actors. John Cypher as Man-at-Arms, Chelsea Field as his daughter Tila, and the late great Billy Barty, later of Willow and UHF, as the movie's cheapened equivalent of Orko, who gets saved from capture.
I am Gwildor of Thenor.
Never mind that this hobbit with rabies has a flattened ball sack underneath his eyes, and the hybrid of Carrot Top and Harry Knowles growing atop his head, because Gwildor is a locksmith who has invented what he calls a cosmic key, which can use musical notes to open up a portal to anywhere out in the universe.
The tones it generates can open a doorway to anywhere.
Hopefully they can find a universe where they can do something about Gwildor's mouth resembling a vagina.
You little worm.
But just as He-Man and his crew break into the castle to rescue the sorceress, they get dropped in on by Skeletor and his henchwoman Evil Lynn, played here by B-movie legend Meg Foster.
You dare threaten her life?
I dare anything! I am Skeletor!
Bitch! We are only 15 minutes in, and the budget constraints are already starting to show. The magical land of Eternia is a barren desert with no townspeople. The movie's been reusing the same establishing shots for different scenes. They left in this shot of a robot tripping over a rock, and now Gwildor is opening up a portal with his cosmic key so our heroes can flee from Skeletor's forces, out into another universe that'll cost this movie far less money on set construction.
Eternia needs you alive, He-Man. Go!
Trace them!
If by them you mean a decent script, quality effects, or any significant resemblance to the source material, then I'm afraid Skeletor won't be finding those anytime soon.
Find them.
So our Masters of the Universe are indeed spending most of this movie not in Eternia, but a small unnamed town in California, where they discover the cosmic key has landed out of their sight, and they begin throwing garbage sci-fi jargon at each other so they can track it down.
I'm not a tortum, you know.
I shall point 8-4 chromons to Moonrise at Grayskull.
This, of course, leads to the same kind of fish out of water humor, or should I say cow out of water, that you would see the crew of the Enterprise getting into back in Star Trek IV.
Ooh. Hello, computer.
With Man-at-Arms halting their search to save the universe, just so he can get his grub on at a nearby ribs and chicken joint.
Good food.
I wonder why they put the food on these little white sticks.
Those are rib bones.
This used to be an animal. What a barbaric world.
Just wait till you try their new plant-based ribs and chicken. The taste of that shit is truly barbaric, as is making Billy Barty drink that barbecue sauce with all that makeup on his face. Oh, I seriously can't even look at it. It's too gross. Ugh.
Good food.
Who should work at this dining establishment but one of the 2 teenage human protagonists of our story, Julie Winston, played by pre-Friends and Scream Courtney Cox, on the night before she moves to New Jersey away from her musically inclined boyfriend, Kevin Corrigan, played by a pre-Star Trek Robert Duncan McNeil. Now that it's been a year since the tragic plane crash which took the lives of both Julie's parents and Peter Parker's.
It was a plane crash. Those things just happen.
I said I had to study because I wanted to spend the day with you. So I took the plane to Kathleen instead.
Oh, I know we shouldn't have gone to the Bruce Springsteen concert that night. Even if Bruce did pull me up on stage to dance with him, and you got pulled up on stage to dance with little Stevie Van Sant.
The cosmic key happens to land near the teens in the graveyard, where the two teens immediately get to fiddling with the alien object despite the threat of it either turning them into a superhero or consuming them with the blob.
This is one of those new Japanese synthesizers.
Yes, makes sense. It's one of those Japanese synthesizers that only plays the theme songs from the company logos at the end of Saturday morning cartoons.
Look at this! Oh, this is hot.
Viacom.
Skeletor tracks the key down on Earth, while Evil Lyn arranges a team of the finest mercenaries in Eternia, which is not saying much in their favor.
Blade.
Man, Mahershala Ali looks terrible in this new Blade movie. All those filming delays have stressed him out so bad, his skin has turned white.
Sarad.
Actually, Sarad looks pretty cool here. I especially like the bubble throat.
The Beast Man.
Not so much for Beastman, though. He looks like the Cowardly Lion became a crackhead who got a hold of the wrong stuff.
And Karg.
And Karg, I don't know, he looks like a hairless cat wearing a bleached James Brown wig.
A curious quartet.
I think it's safe to say from their dramatic pose skills that these stupid-looking minions will not have the willpower to overtake an unarmed teenage girl inside an empty high school. Oh god, not the bleach! The hair around my face is gonna turn white! Oh, now I'm gonna spend the rest of this movie looking like a goddamn baboon! If Courtney Cox can't call on the rest of the friends to take on these monstrous beasts themselves, then it's now up to He-Man to save this defenseless Earthling.
I've waited a long time for this.
What long time are you talking about, bitch? We just met you! The only backstory I want on any of the new villains in this movie is on my man Karg. Can we get that long-awaited Karg Chronicles miniseries into production already? Meanwhile, Kevin's showing off the cosmic key to his buddy Charlie at his music store when he hears trouble on the police scanner and heads back down to the school to find himself at the receiving end of the same bald badass who also terrorized both Tom Cruise and Michael J. Fox on screen, James Tolkien. Here playing local detective Hugh Lubick.
I mean, why aren't you out doing something, huh?
All right, I'll do something. I'll take you for a little ride. Let's go.
I love the method actor dedication that Tolkien is bringing to this small city cop who inexplicably acts like a corrupt New York City beat cop.
You want to know something, kid? I don't think this is any synthesizer.
He's even sniffing at his nose all the time, like his character just did a rail of coke before filming. Not that I would blame James Tolkien if he was really storing cocaine to get through this movie. Oh my god, I just saw into the future. Ed Harris is gonna replace me in the Top Gun sequel? McFly was right, this time travel shit is heavy. I better calm down by doing some more cocaine. But the real acting MVPs of the movie are Meg Foster, wearing a tight outfit that frequently gave her groin bruises on the set, and Frank Langella, whose Skeletor is far more grounded than Alan Oppenheimer's iconically campy voice on the cartoon.
Out of my way, beast!
But no less willing to dress down his incompetent henchmen.
You are all aware of the penalty for failure.
Oh no, not the snake guy! His makeup was the most expensive looking of all! Poor Beastman, he and Sarad had just started dating.
Get away! Out of my way, beast!
Now Evil Lyn must serve as the mercenaries' new leader as they head back to Earth to obtain the key for real this time from Kevin Corrigan, while he and Detective Lubick wait for Julie at her house, throwing away some garbage from Burger King into Julie's empty sink along with some perfectly good oranges like no human being would ever do.
Get out of here! Get out of here!
Oh, well, since you threw that Burger King wrapper at me, I'll have to hear you out and leave with the rest of you. Get your little bitch ass over here! You know, I can't help but notice a significant lack of He-Man in our Masters of the Universe movie so far. To quote the birthday kid from Ghostbusters 2, I thought it would be He-Man. And Dolph Lundgren has shown in his latest work that he's always had the goods to become as big as Stallone was if he had the right script, with Sly even visiting his buddy on this film's set.
Sylvester Stallone showed up, and he pointed up to Dolph. He goes,
Look who's here!
He gave that guy lines?
But his limited English and bland dialogue prevent Dolph from being as fun in this part as he should be, as he and the Masters finally meet up with Julie and Kevin, having driven there in a pink Cadillac that Gwildor happened to steal from Courtney Cox's old boyfriend Bruce before he could sell the car off to Natalie Cole.
These people are fighting against the others.
Look! native clothing.
First they're driving pink Cadillacs, next they're letting Wildor dress up in drag. How dare they demasculate this perfectly heterosexual children's cartoon?
What the hell is that?
What the hell are you supposed to be anyway?
Dolph's He-Man is also not very efficient at leading his army into battle. When Evil Lynn and her minions track him and the Key down to have an epic fight scene with the robot army in the middle of a music store, aka the very last place that a child would want He-Man to have an epic battle scene in.
Think they don't like us? No, they're just lonely. They miss us.
When this music store says no playing Stairway to Heaven, they damn well mean no playing Stairway to Heaven.
Denied.
Sounded like you needed a woman's touch out here. Woman at arms.
Finally!
How weird to see a strong female for once in a film from the studio where most of their movies involve women either getting brutally assaulted or dumping tomato juice over their boobs. Meanwhile, Julie happens to see the visage of her dead mother calling out to her in the store's back alley, and tearfully reunites with Mom, who has a strange request of her daughter.
That shiny metal thing with the blinking lights. Will you get it for us?
Oh sure, it's fine that the first thing your dead mother wants from you is the universal space doohickey, which you've just been told to protect with your life. Nothing wrong with that. Not one single thing. Come on, Julie, have you ever even seen Spaceballs, bro? Man, this has to be the silliest killer reveal in the Scream franchise to date. Now that Evil Lynn's got the cosmic key, she opens up a portal for Skeletor to arrive on Earth atop his floating throne, which simultaneously also serves as a porta-potty. And Dolph's performance only gets stiffer, literally, when we see him fighting off these robots who float atop some pre-Back to the Future 2 hoverboards. Come on guys, just because your lead character is based off an action figure doesn't excuse his special effects looking like that of an action figure.
Yes, I am totally flying upside down. They didn't just slip the last shot of me flying 180 degrees. I also have the power to say to the rules of gravity, I must break you.
Skeletor catches up to the rest of our heroes and sets them up in a trap to capture He-Man. Only for Julie to get herself a lightning bolt to the leg from Skeletor, and He-Man finally giving himself up as Skeletor's loyal slave.
Save their despicable lives, or perish with them on this primitive and tasteless planet.
He-Man, no!
Tila, I have no choice. I don't want innocent people to die.
Dolph, can you please not use this ADR session to keep attempting your Dracula impression?
Who is this Dolph you speak of?
I am Count Dolphula.
I must play you.
So while He-Man's off to finally kneel before Skeletor, and Detective Lubick runs through the streets with some of his fellow officers and a shotgun to find the son of a bitch who's been stealing his newspapers, Julie has grown gravely ill from the lightning bolt to her leg, with her only hope of an antidote waiting back in Eternia, and the musical notes that can send them back having been wiped out of the Key's database. Unless Kevin uses his limited musical skills to recall the magical tune from memory, using the same electronic keyboard he used to teach himself piano on his Nintendo Entertainment System.
Excellent!
Oh god, the terrible music hurts even worse than the poison in my veins!
Wonderful!
Kevin, please cut up my leg and shove it through my ear canal, I beg of you!
Back in Eternia, Skeletor prepares to obtain the power of the universe and calls forth He-Man in an outfit somehow skimpier than his usual garb to prepare his ass for a laser whooping.
I'll never kneel to you!
Yes, you will! Yes, you will!
Who knew that the magic words that He-Man needed to obtain his powers were actually harder, daddy, harder? The sorceress is gravely saddened by this, even as the energy-sucking force field has now turned her into Mrs. Doubtfire. As for Skeletor, his newfound power has transformed him into the movie's most fearsome and fabulous foe to date.
Finally, I have now become my drag queen alter ego, Muffin Tops. Now I shall go to Earth and take part in this RuPaul's drag race that they speak of, where I shall make those other queens gag when I lip sync not only for my life, but rather for their lives as well.
Make it work! Fucking make it happen!
Frank Langella has said that while he only agreed to this part due to his son being a huge He-Man fan, he still considers it one of his favorite roles out of his long distinguished career, with Langella having a blast even while wearing a stupid costume on top of stupid makeup and improvising some of his dialogue from the works of Joseph Campbell.
So we went to Joseph Campbell, the hero with 1,000 faces. That's where the line, "Tell me about the loneliness of good."
Tell me about the loneliness of good, He-Man. Is it equal to the loneliness of evil?
But never fear, our Eternians finally get the cosmic key going and get magically transported inside of Castle Grayskull.
Destroy them!
All right, Picos, you want to play games? Eat left slackers!
Hell yeah, Lubick! Now this is the kind of Masters of the Universe movie that Canon Films would have been far better at, with Charles Bronson perhaps in the role of Man-at-Arms. Hey, Beastman, I'm gonna take you to the vet. Permanently. And while Dolph does finally get to say He-Man's iconic catchphrase, or at least half of it, the final fight between him and Skeletor leaves a whole lot to be desired. You see, Golden Globus believes so much more in this movie over Superman 4 that the latter movie's budget was cut down so that the former movie's budget could go up. But when Mattel failed to pay their half of the movie's production budget on time, the final fight scene between He-Man and Skeletor had to be funded personally by director Gary Goddard. Boy, is it ever easy to tell. The epic final fight that kids have been waiting for between these lifelong enemies, and yet it's being lit by a single color-changing spotlight, which doesn't even let us see anything. Then Skeletor loses his magic samurai armor and makes one last attempt at defeating He-Man that ends up in his Emperor Palpatine-style demise. Oh crap, I forgot to think up a funny action quip before killing the bad guy.
He-Man! Victory!
I don't know, something about him being a bonehead because his head is bones. So the sorceress's life force is rejuvenated. Detective Lubick decides to stay behind in Eternia after he presumably finds out that Blade is his long-lost brother in Baldhood, and the Eternians collectively thank young Julie and Kevin for helping to save their magical land from doom, after the several times their mishandling of this cosmic doohickey has led to those problems in the first place.
Don't say goodbye. Say good journey.
Good journey.
Good journey.
Good journey. Good journey. Good journey. Good food.
The wasp living in my beard will miss you most of all, Julie.
But before they're sent back off to Earth, Julie shouts out a request to go back in time right before her parents bit the big one, and she finds herself waking up in her bedroom exactly 1 year ago, with her parents just about to head out on their fatal plane trip.
We're just going away for the day. We'll be back tonight. No, don't get on that plane today.
I feel really sorry for any young He-Man fans watching this movie who had dead parents themselves and may have thought that their own He-Man toys could also bring their dead parents back from the grave. Julie snatches up her parents' plane keys and runs out to reunite with Kevin, while He-Man sends off the lovebirds with one last catchphrase and the credits begin to roll. After which is an ending stinger to help set up Golden Globus' plans for a sequel that would never come to be.
I'll be back.
No, you would not, Skeletor. Neither would He-Man, or Man-at-Arms, or Courtney Cox-at-Arms, or that dead snake guy. What was his name again? Sarong? And worst of all, we never got to see Brigitte Nielsen possibly pop up alongside Dolph again in the role of She-Ra. All she would have had to do was dye her red Sonya costume white.
Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the Store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some.
The Masters movie not only led to Canon losing their licenses with Mattel and DC Comics, but also with Marvel Comics for their planned Spider-Man movie.
I'm gonna do my own thing.
But true to their cheapskate nature, Golden Globus used the $1 million sets they'd already built for Spider-Man and the He-Man sequel to instead make the sci-fi B-movie classic Cyborg, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. As for director Gary Goddard, who was best known for producing Broadway shows and amusement park rides, he would never direct another film again, which, judging by the multiple sexual assault allegations that brought him down professionally in 2018, is most certainly a good thing. And of course, Dolph Lundgren remains as ass-kicking as ever at the age of 65, set to appear soon on the big screen in Expendables 4 and Aquaman 2, and recently overcoming a long bout with kidney cancer. So even if this isn't Dolph's finest leading role, Masters of the Universe is certainly an amusingly bad encapsulation of Canon Films at its peak. Special effects that look this close to old Doctor Who, annoying or dull new characters who take away from the heroes of the film's title, and a cheap plot setup that lacks any intergalactic adventure. If you'd like to have the power yourself, of laughter that is, then watch for yourself this iconically crappy masterwork of 80s nostalgia. If any actor is perfect to play one of the new Kens in the next Barbie movie, then I would say you don't get any more blonde or buff than Professor Dolph Lundgren.
Do you guys ever think about dying?
If he dies, he dies.
On the enjoybleness continuum scale from Boulder Bruce, Masters of the Universe, the motion picture, proves that getting mad at underwhelming He-Man adaptations is just as pointless back then as it is today, and holds aloft its magic sword at an 8 out of 10. This movie thought it was cooler than Battlecat, but was instead stinkier than Stinkor. I'm Jesse Shade for JoBlo.com, and thanks again for watching our show. If you like what you see, please subscribe to the JoBlo Originals channel. Tell all your friends who like this sort of content, and turn on the bell to receive notifications for all our latest videos. We are an independent company that appreciates all of your support, and here's hoping the actors and writers get a fair and equitable agreement to end this strike sooner rather than later, because you certainly can't replicate Dolph Lundgren's glorious pectorals with AI.
I have the power!
God, I wish that thing would shut up. Well, thanks.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.